can get that one for you as well.
Okay, so let's take shoulders to that way. Hi everybody, welcome to Client Chat, where we talk about brand, marketing, and the images that bring all of that together. Today we're super pleased to have James Grill, Director with US Able Insurance, a regional insurance carrier, with employees in many, many states across the USA, and may even be all of the states in the USA. But anyway, welcome, James. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm James Grill. It's nice to finally meet you, Chris. In
Yeah,
person.
likewise. We've never seen each other.
I know. I talked to you on the phone a million times, but never seen you, except for your website, of course. I'm the creative director at a ancillary insurance company called US Able Life. We're based out of Little Rock, Arkansas, but we are a fully remote company and have a few different hubs throughout the United States, one being in Jacksonville, which is how I ran into you. And so we we act as the in-house agency, not only for US Able Life, but also for Blue Cross Blue Shield brands in various different states. We partner with all Blue Cross Blue Shield brands.
Okay, and then for our international viewers, Blue Cross Blue Shield is health insurance in a nutshell. I was sharing about how we got together originally. So I'd love for you to tell that story because I think it's pretty funny in some ways.
It is. Honestly, it's. I tell people it all the time, because. So I called Chris close to a year ago, and we needed a rush headshot like yesterday, basically. And I spoke with Chris, and he was really nice, and I wasn't able to get any slots with him as fast as we needed to, but we did have a conversation. And at the time, my wife was pregnant. I think I was maybe a couple months away from being a father. So then zoom out. It was probably a year later. I'm looking for headshots in the Jacksonville area again. I didn't have your number, but there I am. I see the picture of him, and I'm like, I think that's who I spoke. The picture from your website. I think I remember this being the guy. So I called you, and I had mentioned, hey, I think I spoke to you, like a year ago, but we weren't able to set something up. And he's like, yeah, you were about to have a baby. And I'm like, yeah. And I couldn't believe that, this guy that I spoke to for no more than 5 minutes on the phone a year ago remembered our conversation. So I tell a lot of people on my team, especially the people that I send into you for headshots, this is how I know the guy. And I think he's great.
Yeah, it's great. I'm lucky. I remember a lot of things, a lot of conversations. It was interesting because people often ask me, "Do you outsource your retouching?" I said, "No, we do it all in house." And one of the reasons I like to do that is because I've got a rapport going with the client, and I know what they like and don't like. If I have to now transfer that to a third party, stuff gets lost.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to do as much retouching as you can in house and keep control of that. And I certainly do encourage other photographers to do that. And I know a lot don't, but that's their choice. But we do.
A lot don't, but also a lot of them haven't quite honed that skill. I can't tell you how many times I'll get a headshot in that I need the raw file just because I need to retouch it a little better. And that happened to me a couple weeks ago with a headshot that was from Cape Coral. The photograph came out great, but she must have been wearing suntan lotion, and he couldn't get the shine off of her face, and So small things like that, you know. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, like the final polish to an image, and making it look good, and not manipulating the image in like making the person look older, younger, then whatever we want to do with the image, what we can do with it, but keeping it authentic and just cleaning it up is so important when that image hits your website or social media.
absolutely.
So when the person is in a sales situation or networking or in meetings with clients, that it's the same person. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's got to be it's critical nowadays, I think, to be authentic.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, to be as accurate as you can as well, while also making them, you know, look great, you know.
Yeah, I know over the months that we've talked a little bit about this, but not really in depth. So I want to ask you this question. What's your role, and also I want to ask you, what's your vision in the way you're creating that look and that brand for US Able?
Yeah, so I'm the director of the creative services team there, and we handle everything um, from executive presentations to brand visuals to campaign content, messaging. Internally, we make sure communications are clear and consistent across departments, and then externally, we focus on telling our story in a way that reflects our values and strategic goals. Innovation, customer focus, operational excellence, all that stuff. But it's about making sure that we can that we create what we create supports the bigger picture and helps people connect with who we are as a company. Um, and then you know uh, consistency is extremely important. At this level, um, you know we we're not this big creative agency, right? But we are. I like to call us a big you know corporate structure, um, and consistency is really the most important thing, to make sure that when people see your images, your graphics, they can look at it and they can say, okay, I recognize that to be US Able Life. That doesn't look like anything else to me.
Yeah, I think sometimes probably not so much bigger business, small businesses um, don't attach enough value to their brand and that consistency. And I think particularly or small organizations that maybe serve several different client bases or they have different services. And I think it's really important that when they provide a service and the brand is attached to that, the other service, when someone looks at that and in their head and think, oh well, that's Chris's photography. If he does that really good, then that's got to be good. And I think that I'm talking about the very general here. I think we should make more effort to do exactly what you're saying in keeping that brand consistency. And I do get flack from my wife about that because I say to her all the time, look, I'm going out on this to this company in Jacksonville. I got 25 employees to shoot. I've got to have a branded T-shirt. It's not that important. Yeah, it is.
It
It
is.
is.
Yep. That's another part of my job is, I control all the promotional swag and gear and everything that goes out of this office. Now, we use a very specific color of blue. We use process blue. There are some slight variations that we might choose if something doesn't come in that color, but it's extremely important that we are using our process blue with our brand.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So brand consistency is super important. So what made you? At what point did you decide to start updating headshots, and then how do your new headshots support the way you do things across different platforms?
Yeah. So um, all the headshots that you have done for us are all new headshots. Um, there's generally a call for headshots every month, whether it's somebody new to the company, or we're releasing a press release and the person that the press release is on doesn't have a headshot yet. Um, I get jobs in for headshots all the time, and the hard thing is everybody is in a different place. So it's always better for me um, when they're in one of our hub locations, because then I've usually, and like I've only been here for a little over a year. So but for example, Jacksonville, I found you. It's easier for me to find a headshot photographer because I have you. And a lot of these photographers like are strictly wedding photographers, maternity photographers. So it is hard, and I have to generally reach further outside of their area, in order to do it. Um, so that's that happens less than more, but hopefully they keep sending me headshots in Jacksonville, so I can just keep sending them to you.
Send them right over. We'll take care of them. Yeah, on that end, I know you hop on the website and book them in, and it's all pretty seamless. So
Yeah, yep.
yeah, how's that experience?
It's great. You know, the easiest thing that for me is when I can see your time slots that you have open, and I'm generally messaging back and forth with a photographer and then with the client that needs the headshot, trying to find that matching time. When I can just send them a screenshot of your calendar and say, pick a date and pick a time, it makes it so much easier. And then it's seamless. I place the appointment with you. I get an instant email that has the calendar invite in it, comes with the instructions of what to wear, the headshot guidelines, and all I need to do, like if it were me doing it for me, it would be great. I do it for other people, so I forward it right to them, and it's super easy.
Yeah, we try to keep things pretty streamlined. I try to really keep that user experience when they hit the website to be very positive. So when we redesigned the website a few years ago, it was one of the things I said, when they're on my website, they're looking at the images, they're building trust. I don't want them to go off somewhere else to book me. It's got to be right here.
Yeah.
And luckily, the guys I use for that work did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's not easy to find photographers that have websites with good user experience or in good UIs. Um, I feel like a lot of photographers' websites are stuck in the past.
Hmm.
And maybe it's like a contact form, um, but then you have to wait. You're not even sure if they're going to call you back or if they actually got the form. So I'll send a form and then I'll call them and they don't pick up, and then they'll call me back the next day. I already found Chris. Sorry, you know.
Yeah.
Your website made it so much easier for me to just say, okay, here we go. I'm locked in now.
Yeah. It's interesting, James. I hear clients come through and I'm photographing them, and they're usually it's like between the first outfit change. I'll say, yeah, I tried to get information from two other photographers 2 weeks ago, but I'm still waiting for them. And I say, I start apologizing for our industry. I'm really sorry. The industry shouldn't be like that. It should all be like me. Like you just jumped on their book, didn't you?
The industry should be apologizing to you, Chris.
So yeah, it could be quite funny, but maybe because I do things a certain way, and the way I look at it is how would I like to be treated? when I go to a website to buy something, what are the things that I like? Um, I think sometimes, and I look at other industries, like look at like my wife. So she says I'm booking a haircut, so I'll watch her do it. So I'm
Hmm.
over her shoulder watching. Da-da-da, credit card done, and it should be like that. It shouldn't be this back and forth. I know that when I get into larger groups and corporate, then there's a lot of details. But when somebody says, I need a quick headshot, or I need branding, I need this, and
Yep.
I see them sometimes they book at like 2 o'clock in the morning, because people are busy. Sometimes the only time they can get online is then, and then they book the first Saturday they can find that I'm open.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm booking headshots, I'm generally looking after 6 p.m. just because I have, I have to prioritize everything else during the day. And now I finally have some time to look around. And that's another reason why your UI is great, because most photographers aren't picking up their phone after 6 p.m. They're done for the day. I still need to make my appointment, so, whatever is the most efficient way, for me to do it when I have time. And that's what your website introduces, for somebody like me.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that, and let's move on with some other questions. And yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on that. So one of the questions I have is, what's been the most challenging thing for booking headshots? Not once in Jacksonville though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, we kind of covered it with even with your website. You know, easy to book at any time. That's not like common. I've noticed relying strictly on phone and email is just a waiting game. And when somebody from a company like me, just we like I need to know the time as soon as possible. And then also being being readily available, and showing and being able to see your schedule and compare and contrast whoever's getting the headshot schedule. That is definitely the hardest part. um, you've made it so easy that when I get a Florida headshot but it's not in the Jacksonville area, I tend to put it off for a little bit because I know it's going to be a process. um, so yeah.
So it shouldn't be that way, should it? Really? I mean, and when you think about somebody like yourself, where you've got people above demanding things, and then you've got to reach out to the person, and now you've got a chain. It has got to be efficient. It kind of reminds me, excuse me, of when I get clients with they can have 50 employees, and I'm shooting them over 2 days. Give them a link, and the employee can go onto my CRM and book the spot they want when I'm there that day.
Yep.
That they can book their spot around all their other meetings, all the other stuff they've got to do. They get a an alert a week before, an alert 24 hours before, an alert 2 hours before, as you well know.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. um you know I don't even have to tell them, like, hey, this is the time. Hey, it's time for you to go. um so I mean, um it's extremely efficient and helpful. I'll tell you. So we had to do um we had to do headshots for a group of people. Actually, you did a couple of them, but there were two others that were located in other parts of Florida, Cape Coral and Spring Hill, as I was saying. The Cape Coral one. So you got your headshots done from the time I ordered, from the time that I signed them up, in 2 or 3 days. Um, the other two headshots, the second one in Cape Coral, took about a week and a half later. And then Spring Hill, they still haven't taken it. We're getting it done on next Monday. And that was all ordered at the same exact time as I ordered those first two from you. So it
Wow.
just, yeah. You did them
Oh, that
2
was a
weeks ago.
yeah. That was like I was going to say
Yep.
the first
And
one
that's
came
all
through.
within the same order, and I still haven't got one done just because it was so hard to find someone, or not even find somebody. I find them, but to book an appointment was a challenge.
Yeah, it's. Oh, I'm so sorry. It shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't. Here I go, apologizing for the industry. Anyway, um, so let's talk a little bit about this. Is a little unfair because you weren't the person being photographed, but let's talk about the feedback you got from the team members that came in for headshots.
All right. So whenever I send somebody to you, the first thing I tell them is Chris is great. And I tell them about kind of how we met. When they come back, there has not been one person who hasn't messaged me saying he is great. I guess you got a good personality.
This is it.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, when they get, when you send me their headshots, I don't just keep them for the company. I send it to them just so that they can have it for whatever they want to use it for too. And everybody's been super happy with their headshots. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead right now, but I can place, and this comes down to what I was speaking about earlier. I can place your photography next to all the photography that we've had prior to me working here. And I can see that these are your photos. Generally because they are so well lit. You really pull the person from the background, out of the background, and place them right in front. Where a lot of, our other headshots, generally, most of our workers are located in Arkansas. We use the same guy, and he's great. But there is a clear difference between your photos and his. And if I could get my entire C-suite to go down to Jacksonville, take a new headshot with you, I would.
Well, maybe I'll drive out there.
Don't say that. They'll make you do it.
Well, I might be going through there next year.
Well, if you do, let me know, and I'll set that up.
Get it all set up. Yeah, I think as you can tell on the website, I do like things differently. But I think the most important thing with a headshot really is to make the subject relaxed. And I think that's part of when I hear people say Chris is great, it's probably something they can't really put their finger on, but it's my ability to talk with them like I've known them for years. And within a few clicks, they're completely relaxed. And sometimes I'll say to people, after we did the light checks and I got you to hold the color checker, yeah, this is the first frame after that. And now we're all done with the session. This is the last frame. Can you see the difference? And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I said, on this one, you look like you belong in front of a camera.
Well,
on this
that,
one,
that comes back to you talking about, what makes a good headshot is that they are authentic, and you pull the authentic self out of the person by however you disarm them to make it not feel like they're there for a photo shoot, but they're, they're there, in a place that they're comfortable with a person that they're comfortable with. So yeah.
Yeah, I was a lot of times it's I find out, ask them a few questions and find out a little bit about what they do. Like playing golf.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I told my one associate before he went, I said, "You'll love him. He plays golf."
so anyway, so but I was thinking about I'm in the middle of a corporate headshot gig. Actually, it's over 4 days, and tomorrow is the last day. um, and the two brothers work for the same company.
Mhm.
One's in HR and takes care of what is it? I think he specializes in workman's comp and stuff like that. And then the other one is an engineer. They both work for the same company. And the one that I was photographing a couple of days ago, he's like, "I don't smile, Chris. I just don't smile." I said, "You do. You were smiling when you came in, you know." So
Yeah.
I said, "All right, well, let's try this. Just think of something really stupid that you and Jim did together when you were kids." And he was beaming.
There you go. Yeah.
And,
You
and
know
I,
he had a memory in store for exactly that too. You know, probably multiple.
yeah. So yeah, and it's interesting. When I'm on corporate gigs, I kind of joke with people because
Yeah.
every once in a while, probably every other person that comes in says, "You got your work cut out for you today," because I'm not photogenic. Okay,
Yep.
never heard that before.
Yeah.
So why don't you take a seat? So I sit them down and I'll get a great picture, and then they'll come look at it on the computer, and I'm like, "I didn't
Yeah.
know I looked that good."
Yeah.
Like, have you ever thought of a career change? Like, have you ever thought about going into modeling? Don't be an engineer.
Yeah.
So I always joke around. I think sometimes, especially the ones early in the process, all right, they go back and say, "Oh, this guy's the best. Like, honestly, just shot the best picture of me ever." And then I get those where it was actually Jim, the guy's brother. He came up to me because I shot him a few weeks ago. And he came up to me and said, "My wife said that's the best photo she's ever seen of me." So I
Yeah.
looked at him and said, "What, better than your wedding pictures?" He said, "Oh, way better than those." I mean, it's a headshot.
But that's it's funny to me because you know people have their real smile and they have their picture smile, and it's getting that real smile in in your headshots. But it's funny to me that it was better than his wedding pictures, because the way I see it is like, were you happy at your wedding?
Yeah, no. So he didn't smile. Yeah, no. Um, anyway, let's see. So I guess we've really covered everything that I can think of right now. So I guess and I think earlier on we talked about this. So the headshots, how do you plan to use those going forward? And I know we had a conversation a while ago where you were hoping that you could change out the backdrops and things.
Yeah, so we have our own backdrop that we use. Just I guess at one point when C Suite got new headshots a few years ago, um, the photographer picked one and they stuck with that, and he sent us that background to place in. Um, but it really depends on like who the person is and what it's for. You've done a C Suite picture, actually, a C Suite photograph. And that was for websites, and that was for a press release. But now we have other ones where we're making bios for specific presentations and meetings, and that's what the most recent ones were for. So it really is just generally whatever's asked, what we need it for, as long as they're consistent.
All right. Well, James, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
for having me.
and looking forward to continuing working with you guys. I just love meeting the staff members and just chatting about them. And each time one comes in, I learn a little bit more about US Able. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
also good.
Yeah, you're gonna be a genius soon on USA, but you're gonna know more than I do.
Uh, all right, James. Well, listen, you have a good rest of the day, and then we'll catch up soon. Okay.